All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to JVology show number 70. And I say that because we lost count somewhere along the way, so it's in the 70s somewhere. But we have a fantastic show for you today. And we are here with my dear friend, Karen McGregor. How are you, Karen?
I am well. Thank you for having me, Jay.
Oh, always my absolute pleasure. My pleasure, my pleasure. So a couple of things. Let me set the stage a moment or two so that everybody knows what's going on. Most of the people who watch this know that this is one of the ways in which JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit, which is one of my brands, shares brilliant people who are members of our community with other members of our community and the entire world. And I'm thrilled to have Karen with me today because you were playing with us at what we used to call the Banff JV Summit before we ever caved to public demand and created JVology. You've been with us almost since the beginning. So this is like just a beautiful kind of full circle thing to be able to hang out with you and find out more about what you're up to.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, it seems like it was so long ago, but just the growth in my own business, and I can see in many people that have come to the JV Summit and JVology, it's amazing. And many of my clients are now in JVology, so I'm really excited for them. They're telling me about your upcoming event actually just yesterday.
That's super cool. So here's the reality for those of you who don't know what JVology is we are a community, a training organization, a coaching organization that actually helps entrepreneurs redesign their business model so there's a steady stream of free, perfectly qualified leads on the front end and a recurring passive income on the back end through our joint venture partnerships by serving our clients better. And if you're interested in any of that, I'm actually just going to put the link for our upcoming JVology Live, which is happening online September 24th to 27th. And if you are interested in reinventing your business model, for goodness sakes, you should come. Now, I have two other announcements we got to make before we dive into our conversation. The first of which is this: we share these. Goodness gracious, my brain. What do we call these? We share these Facebook Lives everywhere under the sun, all over Facebook. But there's only one place where you can actually make a comment, and that is if you are going to be watching it on our broadcast page. So a couple of things about this. Do me a favor, just above the little video you're watching, if you press the button that says JFazette, and sometimes, and I don't know why this happens, if you just press the video, it'll take you over to the broadcast page. And then you can talk with us. You can put a comment in the comments, tell us who you are, tell us where you're from, because we will open up sort of the possibility of asking questions because Karen has a lot to share with us. So the only way we'll see those comments is if you come to the broadcast page. Every once in a while, it's like people are like, "You didn't answer my question." I said, "Well, where did you post them?" I don't know. So I can only do it if you're on the broadcast page. So that's point number one. Point number two is before we start, I always have to play our little video for no other reason than I really like it. And then when we come back, we're going to dive into Karen McGregor, her amazing upcoming book, and all the other brilliance of hers. And that little video always just gives me enough time to get my coffee cup, but not take a sip of my coffee.
I was expecting a few more seconds, Jay.
Just let it loop. So on a serious note, gang, let's just start. Karen, if we can just give the folks the 5,000-foot view of who you are, who you serve, and kind of the big picture, but don't dive into the book too much yet because I got a whole bunch of questions about the book, okay?
Absolutely, yes. So for a decade now, I've been supporting entrepreneurs to be able to design and deliver powerful talks. And now, of course, webinars, because our speakers are moving into webinars due to the pandemic. And so it's been just a really amazing, beautiful way for me to support people and know that with every person that I support to get their message, their product out there, and to actually sell it, because nothing happens until there's a sale. There's inspiration, but there's, not that transformation. So that's been a wonderful blessing in my life. As a single mom for the past 10 years, it's really supported me, supported my family. And now I'm at a stage in my life with my book coming out, The Tao of Influence, where I really feel like I have, supported family, myself, and now it's really time, as well as my community, but it's time now for me to support on a different level. And so that's why I created the Tao of Influence, because for entrepreneurs and leaders, I think that there's different levels in which we can create impact in the world that maybe we haven't been so attentive to in the past.
I love that. Okay, so that's a great setup for the Tao of Influence. So talk to me about the name, because I know, you and I chatted when you were started writing and all those sorts of things. How did you land on the Tao of Influence? I really love it. I think it has a very unique grounding and stand that I think reflects you beautifully. Just talk to me about how you came up with it, what it means to you, what the message of that title is, for starters.
Yes, well, Jay, I know you're always amused by the woo stories, so I'll tell you that when I was in Assisi, Italy, I came across Wayne Dyer. I mean, I had known Wayne Dyer for a long time, but I think it was while I was in Italy. I can't remember the day, but he had passed away. And it really felt, looking at his work and his work with the Tao Te Ching, which is a 4,000-year-old wisdom text. It's actually considered, Jay, one of the wisest books ever written in the world. And scholars, many scholars agree on that. And so it's just 81 verses, and it really teaches us deeply about how to live our life from a place of really true alignment, true balance, true peace. Like, what is peace? What is fulfillment? But from a very deep perspective. What I found, though, Jay, is that with wisdom texts like that, we can only integrate so much, and then we start asking, okay, well, how does this apply to my everyday life? How does it apply to my partner, my business, my kids? And so that was really an undertaking of mine. I thought, this is what I want to write about, and it is deeply important to me. And how can I do that for both personal and business? So that's how this all came together. Now, today I did promise a lot of people on the line to talk about, how to create and sell your own book. Especially I joked with your friend Michelle. I said, a book's not a book until somebody reads it.
Which, by the way,
right,
is a big distinction from even just buying it. Now, just on that note, by the way, Deidre is making comments over another video. Deidre, click the button above the video so you can come over here so we can see your chat, see your comments. So Deidre's a mutual friend of ours. We'd love to see your stuff over here. So, so I love that. Can I dig? And I know you made that promise, and we will do it. But I got to tell you, my personal objective is, I would like to help you sell your books more than I want to help somebody else sell their books, because you're the one here. So tell me, tell us a little bit more about. So I know that I have a whole bunch of them, and I think have been shipped for shipping for us. How does, if somebody's like that the Tao of Influence seems intriguing, how would somebody even get one? Do we have a link handy that we can start directing people to, or are we too early for that?
Yeah, so one of the things I've done, and I highly recommend all of you, because I'm such a teacher, I always teach what I do best. And so on KarenMcGregor.com, my name, so Karen McGregor, McGregor.com, you're going to find the beautiful image of my book. And I actually got from my publisher a box of books. So it's coming out next week, but I did get my early edition. So it's a beautiful hardcover book. It's been endorsed by David Wolf, Dr. DeMartini, Brian Smith, the UGG founder, Marcy Shimoff. So some pretty amazing influencers. And so, so I have, and so should you, if you're selling a book, set that up on your website, because pre-orders, of course, are really awesome. And Jay, what I'm doing right now for a very limited time is those people who jump on, purchase the book, they actually get a full day's writer's retreat on how to create your book, sell your book, market your book, fulfillment, packaging, all of those things, some of which I'll touch on in the next few minutes. And so the Tao of Influence, I know you were saying, so what is it really about? So yes, it incorporates the Taoist philosophies, But it also, in my own experience, Jay, and maybe you can add to this too, I like to break things up into 4 quadrants just so that people can see, okay, how can I use these tools effectively, And so the first is our personal power. And I know, Jay, you used to teach a program called Personal Best, or actually that was the name of your company, wasn't it?
It was the name of the company and all of the programs. It was like Personal Best Seminars and Personal Best Level 1, Level 2, Level 3, because my naming conventions are so strong.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that joke until just now. So people, I know, Jay, Jay, you believe strongly in this, but a lot of us, we get so wrapped up as entrepreneurs in our actual work that we don't see sometimes why we're struggling, why we might have issues in our relationships, why we just can't get to where we're getting to. And so in the first part of the book, I talk about our personal power and how we actually move away from our original power, which is our pure love, and start to move away from it because we want to get something, but we twist that original power that we have and use what I call distorted patterns to get what we want. So we end up being controllers. We want to be right about everything, or we might withdraw completely and not engage in things that are going on right now, as an example, in society. So there's there's 8 different power patterns, and I go through those. And a lot of people who are right now reading the book, as they're going to be offering some reviews on Amazon, said to me, "Oh, Karen, I knew it was going to be good. I just didn't know it was going to be that good," because they're reevaluating their life and really thinking more deeply about how they are in relationship to others. And I think, Jay, that all the training that you had once delivered is definitely in alignment with that, isn't it?
Well, 1,000%. The amount of static that I'm going to call the modern world and the conditioning of who we think we are supposed to be versus who we really are. That's a lifetime of work to sort, filter, vet, and get to the truth of it. So I think it's the most important work in the world.
Yeah, it really, really is. And as we get busy as entrepreneurs, sometimes we tend to slip or forget, and we get back into old patterns. So this is a very unique way in which I've positioned it. So I think you'll really enjoy it, those of you who dive right into it. And then the other 3 P's are presence. So Jay, would you agree, when you don't have your power handled, the way you navigate your power, it's almost impossible to be fully present to the world and to other people?
Utterly and completely, because we spend all of our time attempting to get all of our time and energy, attempting to get our needs met in indirect and unhealthy ways, which sets up some entertaining patterns, we'll say.
Right?
Let's
And
call
then
them
we
entertaining.
wonder why we or other people are not listening, right? And so anyway, I get into very, very practical, but not flippant. I think one of the comments that I get a lot when people start reading the book is, wow, this is something I've never actually thought about before, and I've never heard it said in that way. So what I'm really most proud of, Jay, is when I first started writing 10 years ago, I always thought it was important to quote everybody because my words couldn't possibly be as insightful as everyone else's. Have you ever felt that way?
I'm an odd one. It's like I just gotta say it how I gotta say it. So
well, you know what? You're right. You are a character, and I love that about you. But for a lot of people, I think, like myself, it took me a while to realize, wow, when we really tap into being present with ourselves, we all have incredible wisdom to share. So that's 1 P, and then we move to purpose and potential. So purpose, for me, yes, we all right now during the pandemic are really looking into our purpose. Are we in our purpose? Do we need to make a slight shift? Do we need to make a huge shift? But I think most people, especially if you're a conscious person, you really do start looking into how you're doing life. How are you supporting others? What is the contribution that you're currently making? And is that the best way to live the rest of your life? And so, again, in that section, I don't just do that for the individual, is to support them in that, but also how do we help others? How do we help others who are lost, who are feeling like this time, especially in history, that they just don't know where they're going, what to do. They seem to be in a total uncertainty or chaos, or maybe just a little bit, they might just have a little bit of that. And I think as leaders, it's important not to just be self-focused, but to be other-focused. And when we're present and we got those power patterns, mostly under control, then we can help other people to step into their purpose. I know, Jay, that, you've often said things to me that really aligned and reminded me of my deeper purpose. And I always appreciate leaders who do that. And I think that anyone who's listening to this live or recorded, it is so important to be aware that every conversation you have can support that person to step deeper into their true purpose.
Yes. And by the way, we're getting comments from a bunch of other videos. So gang, if you're watching this and you want to comment, the only way we can see the comment is if you come to the broadcast page. So on the page you're watching, just above there, it'll say Jay Fazette. Click on that or click right on the video. It'll take you over to where we can actually see your comments. And yes, I am talking about you, Virginia Moosgees. I just saw your post. Get your ass over here.
Hi, Virginia.
So on that note, this idea of that purpose element. Talk to me about briefly what the stand of the book is for. This is a large question, and maybe it's okay if you just defer us to the book. But what is your response to people who it's like, I'm not sure I have one. I have searched everywhere. I might know 14 things it's not, but I have never landed on what I actually believe that it is. And Virginia's here. Hey, Virginia. What's your stand and thought about that?
Well, I actually believe that we have more than one type of purpose. Mm-hmm. So I think that one type of purpose that a lot of people relate to is what they do for a living, their career, or maybe community nonprofit initiatives, mm-hmm. that kind of thing could feel like their purpose. And indeed, that is something that's really important and gives us our passion and our drive and our energy. And so if people haven't found that, I mean, one way in which to do that is, again, do the inner work. Because mm-hmm. a lot of us, the reason we're not getting close to it, the reason that seem so far away from it, is because those fears and those power patterns that we talked about earlier are so ingrained in us that they're actually blocking us from what is naturally our gift to give to the world. And on that note, Jay, I'm sure you've seen many people who are very gifted in a particular area, but it's not necessarily their purpose, mm-hmm. right? So you can be really good at something.
Yeah, you're multi-talented and yet not the core of it.
Not the core of it. And so I know for myself, just to speak as a brief story, and I've never really shared this, this is the first time I'm sharing this, is that I know that my deepest purpose is really, I mean, I teach very well. I'm an excellent trainer. People love me for that. But my deepest purpose is to really be a teacher of love. Mm-hmm. And I do that in my business every day, but it's just, it's not in the way that people maybe think of when you say I'm a teacher of love. Yeah. And so we show up many different ways with our purpose. We can show up in an instant to a stranger, and be a teacher of love, as an example. And so on that note, I talk about our highest level of purpose, which is that, I really believe and have had lots of intuition on this, that what we do in the world is actually of very little importance.
Mm-hmm.
It's very little importance. Who we are being, that love, that generous, open-hearted, giving, but also respecting ourselves, that love, that pure vibration, if we can be that most of the time. I know that, unless you're maybe the Dalai Lama, it's kind of hard to be that most of the time, but that's our purpose, and how we manifest that purpose could be in many, many ways. I think too many of us are saying, oh my God, like, I need to find my purpose. But the reality is, you need to work on the love.
What one begets the other. It's putting the cart in front of the horse in many ways, right?
It is, yeah. Yeah, and I love that, again, getting back to your personal best work, and the gift, an amazing 3-day event that you hold. And I think some of your people still offer that, right? The gift.
Well, yes, but that is, as you know, a highly intimate experience and all sorts of things. In the world of COVID, it's just not what it once was by any stretch of the imagination.
Totally understand.
But the grounding is exactly the same of what, the fundamental tenets of that entire process is aligning our life, our energy, our purpose, our time, all of those things around the idea of be, do, have, to focus on our state and who we are going to be in whatever circumstance, situation, and trial or tribulation, and aligning our actions to those states. And for the most part, not worrying too much about the have, because it will take care of itself. We get frankly, the horse in front of the cart instead of the other way around. So that we were in complete alignment on that. Very cool. By the way, I looked up your page, and I've got the page here. I want to just bring it up here. So if people go to KarenMcGregor.com, if you go to KarenMcGregor.com, which I put that link in the chat window there, then you can scoot on over, and there is the pre-orders for the book, and it's beautiful and astounding. And for goodness sakes, go and reserve one of your copies if you haven't done so already.
Thank you. And just to let everybody know, not only is there a complimentary writer's retreat that comes with that, if you're not a writer, I also have a full training on this whole concept that Jay and I have been talking about, which is really understanding your power and how you navigate your power and the blocks that are showing up for you. One of my clients that took the training just recently, she said yesterday, thank you for that, because I just wasn't aware of how I was doing life and how I was being. And so that awareness, but also what do you do with it once you're aware? So yeah, it's been a life changer for me, Jay, to do this work myself. And I hope that people will go over to KarenMcGregor.com, grab your copy, and I look forward to serving you more in the future.
Awesome. Okay. So there it is again. So this is what you're looking for. The Dial of Influence, reserve my copy, get that done, away you go. All right, let's talk about people who are writing, trying to get their book out into the world for a little bit, because we did promise that as well.
Yes, we did. We did. And I'm going to talk about that right now. So one of the things I've learned, and because I was saying to Jay, I had, really large goals for this book, because I'm very German and very systematic. Oh, poor me. No. I always like to joke about that. But the truth is, most of us, when we write a book, we don't really think about all the things that we need to do in order to have people read the book, buy the book, celebrate the book, have global influence through the book. And so I want to talk very quickly, Jay, if you'll allow me 5 minutes, is that okay?
You do your thing. That's why we're here. Let's support people, because actually, let me just frame this for a brief moment here as well. So, and I know a lot of this strategy is directly related to the book, but, and maybe you can comment about this before you dive into these 5 minutes. But the thing that you are brilliant at, and one of the reasons I was so happy to have you on the JVology show, is that you are just a living, breathing example of scaling and growing businesses through joint ventures. And I know you've done it through your speaking and training business. I know that you taught the fundamentals of it to Matthew, and he's done a marvelous job in his digital agency using JVs to actually scale this. I know that you built great relationships at the JVology Summit to move the book. Like this, there's a thread between these things. So all of the strategies and the brilliance that Karen's about to show and demonstrate, everybody listening should be also listening for, and how did that happen with, through, or engaging the support of JV partners? And if there's something you could just let us know about that before we dive in, I think it could be really of great value to our community trying to navigate their way through what sometimes feels like incredibly murky waters.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, most writers, or if you're inclined to write, I call you all the power archetype of the armadillo. The armadillo likes to really think. They're sensitive people. They're very brilliant people. And they generally do tend to write. But the downside of an armadillo is that they're not really social creatures. So they back away from things a lot. And so if you're one of those, I have a lot of that in me too. I'd rather stay home and read a book than go out and have a party, go to a party, unless it's Jay's party. That's different.
I do. We have pretty good parties.
So, I help people in my book just identify that in themselves, because as an entrepreneur and a writer, you absolutely have to. The number one thing to have your book really be known around the world, or even in your community. I live in Vancouver. It's a pretty big community. You have to start building relationships with people. And a lot of people say, well, relationships for people to buy my book. And you don't really want to look at it that way.
You said that very eloquently. I would have said it differently.
That's a dumbass decision. That's what you would have said.
Something like that.
Something like that.
If
right?
you're wearing your ass as a hat, sure.
Right. And so one of the things that I did right away was when Jay talked about, his summit. And, I have a joint venture summit for my clients. I think it's really important that we attend these types of events, that any sort of software platform, I know Jay has a platform as well, communities in which you can meet people who actually become your friends. So there is the belief that, you go ahead and you support someone who you don't know. But those are generally fleeting relationships. And when you ask somebody to share your book and promote your book, the ones who do it are the ones who actually feel a relationship to you, because they're not getting anything out of it. They're just doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And so what sorts of relationships are you building? If it's just your family, they may have a very limited reach. Well, some families don't, but a lot do. So let's look at, in your business community, are you actually developing the relationships so at the time of your book you can do that? Now, Jay said also, that I have enlisted joint venture partners, not just to share the book, but actually for me to have them on my stage, and to me to be on their stage. And I'm going to talk about packaging in a minute, because you can actually, with JV Partners, have packages where the book is part of the package that you offer to their community or they offer to your community. And this is one of the things I believe I'm brilliant at. And I really feel it's important for all of us to look at that. And what I mean by packaging, there's 5 P's. So one is the partnerships that we just talked about, and we can touch on that more, Jay. But packaging is, for instance, what is it that your audience needs before or after they read your book? And that should be part of your package, right? And so you got to know who your audience is and what they want and need. But when you provide a holistic package for them that surrounds the book, it makes it a lot easier for people to say, ah, yes, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to do that. Another way is, I have a beautiful TEDx program. And so I teach people how to do and, create, write, deliver, and market a TEDx talk. And so what I've done leading up into the program is to say, when you purchase your TEDx training with me, you receive a bundle of books. And that bundle of books can go to their clients, their colleagues. And you can also, if you wish, if you plan it well enough and there's pre-orders, you can put a little insert into the book, that supports each of the people that is reading the book to take it further. And so there's different ways in which you can get your trainings, programs, services out into the world. Does that make sense, Jay?
It totally does. And just so you know, my secondary monitor just went down. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can see you on Facebook, but I can't see you on my monitor. So
that's
you
okay.
keep
I'm
talking,
almost.
and I'll try and fix it. Okay.
Yeah. I'm almost finished. So we've got packaging, we've got partnerships. There's actually 5 P's, but I don't like to say 5 P's because at my age, it means I have to run to the bathroom.
We were having that conversation this morning at my house, by the way.
Going to the bathroom multiple times a night. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So getting back to this important topic is your platform. This is probably the thing that people miss most, is that when you are writing and marketing and selling your book and all the rest, you have to have a platform already built up. And the bigger your platform is, and the more engaged, especially the engagement of the community, then the easier it is to actually get your book out into the world. So I'm going to give you an example. My YouTube channel, right? My Facebook group, which, by the way, you're welcome to come and hop over and join us. It's Influence and Ancient Wisdom for Inspired Leaders, Influence and Ancient Wisdom for Inspired Leaders. And Jay has a wonderful Facebook group. What's the name of yours again, Jay?
Ours is JVology, the perfect mix of people, fun, and profit.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you can do that. I write blogs every week. My YouTubes are twice a week. So you really start getting dedicated to the content of your book. So I'm just going to show you, if you joined us late, this is a copy of my book. It just is coming out on September 15th. Most of my clients have already pre-ordered it, but you can still order it now. So that part is super important. If you don't have an engaged community, it's very difficult to get a publisher. One of the reasons I received a traditional publisher is exactly because, right, they're looking for people who can move the books. That's a term I don't like, but it is a term in the industry, is, can we move these books? In other words, they need to make money. They're a business. Publishers are a business, and they need to sell books. So they will choose not necessarily the best book, although it's always good to have the best book, but they will choose the best possible book combined with a platform. What do you think of that, Jay? Any comments?
I think I finally have my monitor back and I can comment. Yay! You filled your, that was perfect. Thank you. I don't know what the hell happened.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So I was just saying, that the platform is so important. And so again, your JV partners, when we get back to what Jay does, they also can support you in getting the word out about growing your communities as well. So it might not even be that you're promoting right now, something that you're selling, but it could be, hey, can you let people know about my new YouTube channel, right? And so these are smaller things that people can do as partners and great relationships. And the last thing I just want to, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so, and one of the key pieces about that for us is that the entire JVology live weekend, we started at our, what we call the pre-event mastermind. And the first thing is explore and expand and to list what are our platforms and resources that we can bring to the table for a great JV partnership. And that could be a YouTube channel, that could be a JVology, that could be a Facebook show, that could simply being a member of a local community that you have some influence and reach with. I mean, there's a multitude of ways, and people generally think it's like, oh, I got a small list, I can't help Karen. That nothing could be further from the truth. If we start thinking about how that actually looks, we can knock that out of the park. So anyway, I love that point about platforms.
Thank you so much. And then the pre-orders and the PR. So Jay and I have talked extensively about PR. Some of it is important, some of it is not. Some of it's very expensive. So you have to be aware that there is a budget involved with PR. What I have found from
Karen, just on that note, because you and I have had this chat a whole bunch of times. So I recently had a conversation with a New York based PR agency for our platform. That, you know, the starting engagement, and we'll get you some coverage, but they're not particularly specific. But it started at $100,000.
Yeah,
no obligation for delivery. Yeah,
very common, and so PR comes with a price tag. The one thing I have found though that has been really helpful for me is because of the nature of the DAO and that it's more personal development for leaders. And entrepreneurs, as well as business development, is that I wanted to make sure that my words got into publications that were considered to be thought leadership. And so that happened, and that was really powerful for me to know that my words and my thoughts matter to someone in a publication that was more sophisticated in their thinking. So for instance, I was quoted a good quarter page of Reader's Digest. They interviewed me and they were quoting from my thoughts. And I thought, that's really a valuable thing. It may not be direct sales. It doesn't matter to me really, sell or not sell, but it made a big difference for me that I could do that. And so PR companies just give you a little bit of an into that opportunity that you may not have otherwise, right?
But you still have to have your back end off structure and all of the other pieces in place to take advantage of it. I have back when we did a television series, we had this thing called It's Your Life, Live It, and we actually got fantastic PR, but we were clueless about the whole digital marketing piece. So one piece and we were missing the other piece, right? The two have to come together.
Yes, absolutely. And again, wouldn't have landed in Reader's Digest if I didn't have my platform, because they looked me up. They wanted to make sure I was the real deal. They watched my TED Talk. They looked at my blogs. So it's not just a matter of you putting out a press release and, all of a sudden you're on USA Today. It doesn't work that way. So again, getting back to platform. And the last thing is pre-orders. Everybody, you must do pre-orders for your book, okay? Because a lot of people wait till the day of the launch and they say, hey, everybody, my book's available. Buy my book. And after your friends buy it and your mama buys it, who's going to buy it? So that's why we've been talking today about these 5 Ps. Very, very important that you do all of them. And do they take work? Absolutely. I think out of all of them, the most important is what Jay and I both believe in, which is partnerships. You've got to have partnerships. Otherwise, the other Ps are a little bit more difficult to pull off.
Yeah, it is just leveraging all of those pieces. And by the way, in terms of pre-orders, if you haven't already, I put the website up again, and that is, I'll actually put the direct link right over there to the page that I am showing. And the key piece to this is, and I'm just going to talk for a brief moment about And I haven't read the book yet because I all the ones I ordered went to our shipping place. I got to get one actually physically in my hands.
I'll do that when I come to Calgary at the end of the month.
That would be awesome. Thank you. The key piece to me that this idea of platforms is that platforms, partnerships, and power. That I think that there is a beautiful Venn diagram in some way, shape, or form that when we can develop our power in a clean, clear way, then the partnerships are as easy as a heartfelt connection, a meaningful, we always say a joint venture is a game of I'll go first, a method of giving and becoming relevant. And then what transpires quite literally is that we get to magnify our platforms sometimes in a single relationship by 10 times, by 20 times, by 100 times. And it's that very simple piece of power, partnerships, platform that I think is like the core of the flywheel that shifts something that is nice. And yes, I did a nice little book, as quite literally tens of thousands of people a year do. Or I wrote a book that got into the hands and was read by tens of thousands that moves the needle of consciousness for them as individuals and for us as a planet. And that's, the thing I want to get behind you and encourage everyone under the sun to read the book, look Karen up, watch her TED Talk. Like, this is, it's significant work, and it isn't just about a book. It's about making a meaningful difference in the world. So go buy her book is the short version.
Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate your words. And those of you that have questions for me, you can go to KarenMcGregor.com. I do read every question and I respond to everything. So feel free to do that.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for being with us. I can't wait to see you at the end of the month, and we will talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Now I've just got to find the red button. There we go. Or not. We're still on.